Today, I am interviewing Liz Seibert, an Ivy League student and model. Liz has traveled the world modeling and remains constantly in the spotlight, whether she is walking down the runway or just simply going on a date with her boyfriend, fellow celebrity James Neese. Liz has 600,000 followers and 30 million likes on her TikTok account, where she shares with young girls how she worked hard to make her own dreams come true. The definition of an it girl has been rapidly changing in the year 2021. Nowadays, an it girl juggles multiple streams of income, all while living her life in the spotlight. My mission is to interview the it girls of today to discover their secrets to success to share with you. My name is Sarah Gullickson, and this is the She Is It Report. Today on the She Is It Report podcast, I have the amazing Liz Seibert.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you so much for having me.
So Liz, I know the internet has 1,000 questions for you because you are popping off. It's amazing. So let's talk about this amazing modeling career you have. So how did you get scouted?
Shopping for a graduation dress with my mom in like a Marshalls or a TJ Maxx, one of those like stores.
Mm-hmm.
And this woman comes up to me and she's like, "Oh my God, how tall are you?" And I'm like, I'm 5'11", 5'10". I'm like taller than that, but I didn't want to admit it. So she asked how tall I was, and I told her I was 5'11", and she was like, "Okay, well, have you ever thought about modeling?" And I was like, "Not really." Like at the time, I was just super into school and just hadn't even thought about it. I didn't even know what like Chanel was.
Mm-hmm.
And then she gave me the contact number for a model manager who I ended up meeting and I'm now signed to. And she has taken me everywhere I've gone with my career. And that one little interaction, it's so crazy to think like if I hadn't been in that store at that time, I might not be where I am today. But
Wow,
sometimes it just happens like that.
So where are you from?
I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
So being from Philadelphia, so what was that transition like between modeling and, just being like a normal high school girl? Like you were shopping for your graduation dresses. It sounds like it was so meant to be that you were scouted to become
it's funny. It was actually like at the exact perfect time because I had just gotten accepted into a few colleges. I was trying to decide where I wanted to go to school. And it was kind of like, I met this manager and she was like, "You know what, we're just going to submit you. We're just going to submit you everywhere."
Yeah.
And within like a week, she was like, "All right." She put contracts on the table. She was like, "You've got Milan, you've got Paris, you've got South Africa, you've got Asia if you want." And I was like, what do I do? Like, what do I do with this information? Like, obviously I've left the state, but like I've lived in Philly my whole life. I went to a school with like 50 kids.
Yeah.
I had never left my home for more than like a week at a time. And she's like, Milan for 3 months. And I'm like,
wow.
I don't even know Italian. So
yeah, you don't speak Italian.
I was in between deciding to go. So the school that I technically am a student at now is the University of Pennsylvania. And I was deciding between, okay, this is all I worked for these past 4 years of my life in high school. Do I literally just drop everything and go to Milan or go to Paris or do this thing that I don't even know why I'm doing it, but she's telling me I can be successful? And it was kind of this perfect time where I was like at a crossroads. And obviously, I ended up deciding I contacted my school, obviously, and I just told them the situation. And they were like, "Take a leave, do your thing. Your spot will be here when you get back." And so I was like, you know what? No reason not to try. And so I just did.
That's amazing. So what did you think of Italy?
Italy was beautiful. Italy was like first time in Europe. Just like an insane experience, like when you're there so I stayed in a model apartment for the first time, which was so weird. I was like the only girl who spoke English natively. And so everyone else there's like 30 girls in this apartment and everyone else was like speaking all these other languages. And I'm like, someone talk to me. I don't know how to talk to any of you guys. Definitely like a culture shock, but I learned a ton about the modeling industry and started booking my first work, and it was really cool. Like, it was definitely like my first experience being away from home and like not getting that normal college experience. That was kind of my first time like being away from home. But entering the modeling industry like that when you're just kind of, fresh out of high school, don't really know what you're doing, don't really know anything about the modeling industry, it's a lot, it's intense. So yeah, but it was good. It was a good experience.
So I want to take it back to where you're going to school now. So I think a lot of girls would be really curious to hear your study tips because your school is so amazing. It's an Ivy League school.
Yes, yes.
Tell us, because we know how to pose, we know how to like walk down the runway because of your videos, but how do we get into an Ivy League school?
I always tell people like it's it's hard to say that anyone can get in, but
No.
I truly believe that if you set your mind to it and you set your intentions and you set your goals early on, you can totally do it. Like you don't have to be this crazy, genius to get in. Like I'm not no genius. I'm just a normal girl. But I set this goal for myself, and what I did in high school was I mean, full disclosure, I didn't get perfect grades. I didn't get a perfect SAT score. And most of my friends at school didn't either. But what I've noticed most IB students have in common is that they have a really unique passion. And yes, they're very intellectual, and yes, they're very motivated and do a lot of things. But I think um, it's better to show that you're passionate about one or two things. Like for example, like I loved math, and I was captain of the mathletes. I did calculus competitions every year. I took every single math class my school offered, like did the whole deal. I tutored, like I showed my interest in math, not studying math. Like that path completely shifted. But that doesn't matter because in my application, I showed them that I was passionate about something. And obviously, I had other passions as well. But I think people get really stuck on like, how many APs are you taking? Or, what's your GPA or what's your SAT score? I think it's more important to just show that you're passionate about something and really be passionate about it. Like you don't have to fake. A lot of people like say like, oh, I'm doing this for my college apps. Well, they can see right through that because everyone does that. You got to find something that sets you apart and really take it to the fullest extent.
That's amazing. Wow.
Thanks. Yeah, hopefully that's helpful.
Did you have fun on the mathletes?
Oh, it was so fun. It was like my favorite experience of high school. It was like me. I think I was the only girl on the team. Yeah. And we won. We won my senior year finally. I was so excited.
That's exciting.
But it was really really fun. It was like one of my favorite. I liked it better than any of the sports I played, any of the actual athletic things I did.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was really fun.
You guys listening are probably, pretty shocked to hear she was on the mathletes. I'm shocked too, but here's another secret. I was on the robotics team in high school.
Oh my gosh. I love to hear it. I love to hear it.
It was awesome.
My fellow nerd.
I loved it. Pretty girls can be smart, just in case you were wondering.
You can be a duo.
Yeah, you can. Honestly, you're better off focusing on your goals, your interests, what you're passionate about, and then doing your makeup a little bit later. So I would say
exactly. Completely
get those
agree.
good grades, ladies.
Exactly. Focus on the school, and then all the other stuff will come after.
Liz, so do you have a favorite modeling story?
So I was thinking about this, and I have some cool stories, but I think my favorite is just the funniest one, and it's so embarrassing.
Oh my God, you guys, we're so lucky to be hearing whatever story this is. Whatever you're doing, if you're driving in the car, just take a moment, lend a listening ear. I'm ready.
This needs full attention. So it was my first New York Fashion Week. I finally was signed in New York. I finally was ready to do Fashion Week, and I booked a few shows. Super excited, super nervous. Hardly knew how to walk in heels. Didn't know what I was doing. I had literally done like 2 photo shoots, which like, as a model, like you're doing photo shoots every week. Like that's nothing. So no idea what I was doing. I was just a little nerd girl who, knew about math and stuff, but knew nothing about going to a New York Fashion Week show and being a model. That wasn't me. So anyways, it was my very first show of the season. And I get there at like, I think it was 12 p.m. and it was a presentation. And that's just it. I mean, you know what that is, but just if
Yeah,
anyone's not
we
a
might want to
model,
explain to the girls. Can you explain what a presentation is?
sure. So a runway show, we know what runway shows are. You just walk. Presentation show is when they literally just have the models put on the clothes and stand. So you just literally stand there. Sometimes they'll have you sit, whatever, but usually it's
For
just
hours.
standing for hours.
For hours. Yeah. I've done these
Long
as
time.
well. Long time.
Long time. So I didn't know what that was. So I just show up assuming that I'm going to be walking. And I'm like, okay, it's like 30 seconds. I can walk and I can be done. Like, it's fine. It's 30 seconds of my life. I can get through it. And then when I get there, the other models start talking about like, oh, it's a presentation. Like, make sure you don't lock your knees. And I'm like, what does that mean? What does locking your knees mean? And they're like, if you lock your knees, you're going to pass out.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to pass out?
Yeah.
And they were like, no, literally, like models pass out all the time at these. And I was like, no, they don't. And something in me knew something bad was going to happen.
Oh no. Go on.
So the day goes on, and like I said, we had gotten there at like noon, because with shows you get there super early and we spend hours preparing, makeup, final touches on the clothes, hair. So there was food. Okay. The designer ordered pizza for the models.
Good. That's good.
Me being a new model, none of the other models ate the pizza. And me being a new model, I was kind of like, they're not eating. Should I not eat? So no one ate the pizza. No one ate the pizza. I was like, wait, I kind of want some pizza, but like, I can't just be the only one. Yeah. I mean, if it was me today, oh my God, I'd be eating that whole freaking thing.
Yes.
But no one was eating the pizza. It was a swimsuit show. So I think that's why everyone was nervous to like eat the pizza. No one wanted to look bloated, whatever. And I was wearing a bikini, which was terrifying, and some heels. So finally it gets to like 7 p.m. and they start the show, and we get on stage. I'm very, very careful not to lock my knees. I'm like, don't lock knees, don't lock knees. That's the only thing that's going through your head. You're going to pass out if you lock your knees. And we get up there, and they've got this massive pit, just photographers everywhere, just, click, click, flash, flash, like everywhere. And after like 10 minutes, I started just feeling like not so good, just in my body, just kind of like I had to throw up. And then I got like really cold sweat, and then just fully passed out on stage with all the photographers there, like on stage, fully passed out, like hit the ground.
Whoa, I'm
really
so
bad.
Sorry.
No, but it's like I was mortified. I mean, I thought that my modeling career was over before it even started. Like, when you're a new model, you think that everything you do is gonna ruin your career, but the truth is it's just not. Like, no one cares, The designer was super nice. I thought he was gonna like yell at me. I thought I was literally gonna die, but he was so nice. He like brought me a cupcake. And then I ended up
better bring you a cupcake. Are you kidding me?
I know, I'm like the bare minimum. I'm like, yes. It's one of my favorite stories, just because I think it's a very relatable thing where like you have no idea what you're doing and things just go horribly, horribly wrong. I think we've all had one of those moments, and it feels terrible in the moment, but I think the moral of the story is just that like if something goes wrong, life goes on and everything's okay. And it was probably better for my career in the long run because it made me memorable.
Yes. So your boyfriend is an influencer. How did you meet your boyfriend? What is it like dating a fellow influencer? Tell us. The girls were curious.
I don't think I've ever said this publicly.
Yes.
But James and I met on Tinder, which is, I thought it was embarrassing at first.
Yes.
And I didn't want to tell my parents, and I was like,
Mhm.
if we met on Tinder, people are going to think it's like weird. But I remember like at the time he was in school in North Carolina. He was at a university there, and I was home. I was like in and out of modeling trips, but I was home at the time. And he was just going through a lot at school, and I had just had a bad previous relationship. Like I needed something to kind of get my mind off of that. And so my friend was like,
Mhm.
just download Tinder.
Yeah.
And it was kind of the same vibe for him. He was like, I'm just gonna get it. I don't care. Like he had nothing going on at school, didn't like it. And the only thing he really had was social media. And I remember like us just saying like we were swiping, like on people, and everyone's just the same. Like not to generalize, but like on Tinder, it's hard to find someone who's not gonna just give you like dry, like, hey, hello, how are you? Um, and with me and him, we just started talking and kept talking. And I didn't think I'd ever meet up with someone from Tinder, but
Mhm.
we did end up meeting up, obviously. And I didn't know that he had this massive platform on TikTok until we had already been talking for like 3 months or 2 months.
Wow. He wasn't mentioning it. Wait, so how did you find out?
He was super low key about it. Oh gosh, how
Uh-huh.
did I find out? I think that he followed me on Instagram. Finally, it took him forever because I didn't want to give him my Instagram because all my model stuff was up there, and I was like, I can't. This is embarrassing. Like I don't know. So
Modern day romance. You're hiding that you're a model, and he's hiding that he's an influencer. Was meant to be.
yeah. hmm So finally, we exchanged Instagrams, and guys don't really, they don't really use social media. They'll post like
Mhm.
once a year. And I saw that he had a ton of followers, and I was like, what the heck? Like, where did that come from? And then I like Googled his name. All this stuff came up, and I saw that he was an influencer, and he was like one of the biggest guys on like Musically or whatever, and all this stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is weird. So then I told him, I was like, hey, are you this person? Yeah. um, really just the most, what's the word? Like anticlimactic. Like, is this you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Question mark?
Yeah. From there, I just kind of learned about the world of social media, and then that's actually like kind of why I started posting on social media myself, which is interesting. I don't know if I would have started if it weren't for me dating him.
Mhm.
um like once the pandemic started and there wasn't really any work modeling, I was like, what do I do? So I just started posting on TikTok, which I think is similar to probably when you started too. I think we
Yeah.
started around the same time.
Yeah. My cousin, she posted a TikTok and it got a million views. She posted a dancing video. And, we have a healthy, cousin rivalry.
Ooh, okay.
So I was
Okay.
like, wait, if Ashley can do it, I can do this. That's when I started posting on TikTok, was right around the time that my cousin went viral because I was like, this is awesome. And then I started posting dancing videos, except Ashley grew up dancing and I can't dance. So it was
Me
hilarious.
either.
It was not my forte whatsoever.
That's so funny. I never saw your dancing videos. I might have to
No,
go back and stalk.
I hope they're not on the internet anymore. Do not watch them.
I'm sure I can find them.
So, to bring it back to your relationship, so from his perspective, he's looking at your social media thinking the same thing where it's like, oh my God, wait, she's a model.
True, yeah.
He must
Well, so the difference was that he knew I was a model,
have. Mhm,
because there was one of the pictures I posted on Tinder,
mhm.
was like a runway picture, because I was like,
Yeah.
if I'm gonna find a person, if I'm gonna date them, they're gonna know, you know. So I posted one,
Yeah.
and it's actually so funny because he texted me on Tinder for the very first time, and I had like a very dry answer, and the conversation dissipated. Like exactly what I was saying, like how you text and it just nothing goes anywhere because that's what Tinder is.
Yes.
And then like 3 weeks later, I posted that runway photo just because whatever, updating my profile as one does. And he responds to it and he's like, "What agency are you signed with?" And I was like, "What?
Oh,
Like,
okay.
how do you even know what an agency is?" Because he actually, for a brief period, kind of tried modeling when he was in social media. It was like getting scouted by some agencies, but so he knew about it, but we didn't really talk about it. And I don't think he knew it was like a big part of my life until then because I literally took time off of school. I took 2 years off of school to do it, so it was like a huge part of my life that he didn't really know about until he saw my Instagram.
Aw. Yeah, it's an important thing to address because with modeling, there's the glamorous side that I think that we both document on our TikToks, right? But there's the where the rubber meets the road, where whoever you want to be dating, when you first meet someone, it's one of those things where you're like, do I mention it? Do they know?
Right.
What's going on? Where a lot of my friends who are models as well have the same thing where they'll meet a guy and then they'll try to not mention it, but then you look deceitful. But then if you lead with it, it's hard to know where that's going to go because he could be dating you just because you're a model. So
Right.
it's hard to know. But
That's so true.
exactly. Yeah. Something I wanted to mention too is both of you have significant followings. Do you ever get recognized in public? What is that like?
It's so funny because when I first started dating him, I knew that he had a ton of followers and I knew that he was this influencer guy and whatever. Like that was his life for a few years before he knew me. Because he's been doing this, I mean, he's 21 now. He's been doing this since he was 14. Like for real, for real.
Wow.
And so he visited me when I took my trip to Milan, my very first modeling trip. He flew over.
So he flew to Milan to visit you.
He flew to Milan. As soon as I like signed the contract, he was like, "I'm coming." And I was like, "What? Like you can't just come to Milan." And he's like, "Watch me." So he came and one of the first days that we were there, we were walking around Navigli, which is like a little cute area of Milan. I'm sure you've been.
Yeah,
And
it's the area where a lot of the college kids hang out. It's beautiful.
oh yeah. It's so pretty. It's like my favorite part. But we were walking around there and there was like 4 people that just started freaking out. And I was like, what's going on? What's going on? Because we had only been dating for like a month at this point. And so I just didn't know that this was a thing. And I was like, what's going on? What's going on? And they were like, oh my god, and they're like speaking in Italian, and I'm like, what's going on? And James knew right away, like James knew that they were fans. But so yeah, they stopped, they took some photos, they had a little moment, and then obviously after that, like, it happens when you're in public, especially around New York and stuff. And I've gotten more used to it, and actually it started happening. So it only ever would happen to him because he was the guy on social media, and then once the pandemic started, and I grew my following, and I'm sure it's probably similar for you, like I never really got recognized because we're in a pandemic, so everyone's like wearing masks and everyone's freaking out and no one wants to go up to people. But I think I got recognized in public for the very first time only just a few months ago, like 5 or 6 months ago now, in Brooklyn, and I was like, happened to me, like it was the first time that it was me and not him. Like obviously I've seen it happen to him a bunch of times, but when it happened to me for the first time, it was like, whoa.
Yeah. Wow.
And it happens like in the city, because there's so many people in New York. Does it ever happen in Arizona to you?
Yeah, it does. It happens a lot. Well, there was the sweetest one that just recently happened this last week. There was a girl, I went to Starbucks and I ordered an iced caramel macchiato, and the girl who was making it, I overheard her talking to her coworker, and she was like, "I've never been so nervous in my life to make a caramel macchiato." And then,
oh my gosh,
just make it. And I didn't know what to say, where I was like, I wasn't in the conversation, but I felt so like that was the sweetest thing,
That's so cute. That's so cute.
So cute. And I was like, oh, I will say the caramel macchiato did taste like it had extra love,
As it should. As it should. She killed it. She really killed it.
It was a great caramel macchiato. Oh my gosh. But I can imagine, like, think about it, ladies. James flew to Milan to visit you. You're in Italy, and then he gets recognized, while you're walking around. Like, how insane that must feel as an American girl flying, to a totally different country and then having encounters with fans. Okay, so since we're talking about TikTok, we have to address you're in the spotlight. How do you handle the pressure of being in the spotlight?
It's definitely weird. It's definitely an adjustment that you have to make. Going from someone who can just live their life and post what they want to post or not post what they want to post, and just that's your life. Your life doesn't revolve around being in the public eye, and that's I think what most people live with. And when you start doing social media, there's this transition period where you don't really understand that you're an influencer until you understand that you're an influencer. And I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'll give an example. So when there was a ton of protests, I can't remember the month, but it was when George Floyd was murdered.
Yeah.
And everyone was out in the streets protesting, and I live in Philly, and I was in Philly at the time, and so
Yeah.
I was out every single day. I mean, I was out protesting and trying to make our voices heard to get all of this stuff to stop. And I remember I had just started TikTok. Well, not just started, but I was pretty new. I didn't know what it felt like to be an influencer. I didn't see myself as an influencer or someone with that responsibility or that power.
Following.
Yeah, exactly. So I was out, I was at these protests, I was making signs, I was leading chants, stuff like that for days, like 4 days.
Amazing.
And one of my close friends texted me and she was like, Liz, like, why haven't you posted anything? And I was like, well, what do you mean? She was like, well, I've been looking at your Instagram for the past like 4 days and everyone's posting and you're not posting.
You're like,
And I was like,
I'm here.
I was like, what do you mean posting? Like I'm out at the protest, like I'm doing what we need to do. I'm doing what's everyone should be doing. Like I'm doing my part kind of thing. And she was just like, well, you have this crazy platform. Like, I can't believe that you're not posting, like, and I was like, I do have a platform. You know what I mean? It was like, I wasn't used to having this voice where if I say something, people are gonna see it. People are gonna hear it. Yeah. So then of course, I thought about it and I figured out, what I wanted to say and how I wanted to use that platform, because one of my biggest things of like having a platform, and obviously like my platform isn't nearly as big as some of these people who really, really have a major influence. But I think like one of the most important things to me about having a platform is just making sure that I use it to promote the right things and just, make the world a better place. People listen to people online.
What video was the first video that started gaining traction for you?
People ask me this a lot, and I think I kind of just started posting like whatever. Just my life. Like, this is funny. I did do a couple dances as well, which is really embarrassing.
We all thought we were gonna be Charlie D'Amelio. I'm just saying.
Oh, for sure. We really all had that moment. But when I started realizing that the dances didn't do well, I remember I posted a couple of just model related videos, and they did pretty well, like not crazy well, but I remember them doing significantly better than my other videos had been doing. Like maybe my videos had been getting like 500 views. These videos got like 15K, 16K. And it was just like, just I briefly mentioned that I was a model kind of thing. So then I was like, okay, maybe there's a market here. Like maybe I should start posting more about my modeling career because people seem to be interested. And so I remember the first video that I did that ended up actually getting like 5 million views was like, I talked about all the different celebrities that I've met like in my modeling career.
Seeing this video.
Yeah, so people really liked that one, and I gained a ton of followers, and then I just kind of like after that, just started learning like what people like to see and how to put my own spin on it, how to be myself, that kind of thing. I was very strategic about it. I was like, okay, this is going to be the one. I was like, I can do this. So my first one was I had recently met Kim Kardashian at one of the shows I did. And I was like, if I mention Kim Kardashian, people are going to listen. So
Mhm.
I think I put her first because I thought that that would be attention grabbing. I talked about Kim Kardashian. I met her at the Serena Williams show. She
Mhm.
came backstage. She talked to me for like 30 seconds, and I thought I was like literally gonna die. And then I talked about, so this was at the Serena Williams show. So obviously I met Serena Williams. She like talked to me at the casting. She picked me for her show. She told me my walk wasn't good enough and we worked on it, and it was crazy. Like definitely a fangirl
Mhm.
moment for her. For me, I love Serena.
Mhm.
And I've loved her for forever. She is one of my girl crushes, one of my
Yeah.
top inspirations.
How could she not be? She's amazing.
She's amazing,
Yes.
amazing. So yeah, I talked about her. I talked about who else did I talk about? Alessandra Ambrosio. I think I met at one of my
Mhm.
shows. So I was like, let me throw her in there.
Yeah.
Love her as well. She's definitely a girl crush. Um, there was a couple other I mentioned that I can't remember, but I guess you'll have to go check it out to
Yeah, you guys
see.
will definitely have to check out her TikTok for sure. So your handle is
It's Liz Seibert. So Liz, Seibert.
alrighty, ladies. You have to go check out that video. That'll be amazing. I think it's so interesting, that you were sort of thrown into the spotlight. You were shopping for your graduation dress, living your life in Philadelphia, and then all of a sudden this one woman comes up to you, changes your life forever, and now you're just thrust into like New York Fashion Week and modeling in Italy and just sort of meeting all these different celebrities that most people don't even have the opportunity to meet. It's such a unique story. You have this unique experience. How does it feel to be a role model to young girls?
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, like I was saying, like it's definitely not something that I take lightly. Like I understand the importance of being that person to girls because, I remember when I was, I don't know, 14, 15, and influencers, like girl influencers were kind of just starting to become a thing. And I remember I followed a few girls and I can't remember all their names, but like RCL Beauty, I thought she was so
Mhm.
cool. And
Yeah.
I know the true amount of influence that we have on young people in particular and their developing minds and stuff like that. And as I continue my career, all I want to do is just learn more about how to use my platform for the better of that generation and for the better of all of the people who consume the content I create. So I'm thinking, and this is tentative because I'm early on in my college career, but I'm thinking I'm going to study film and media and
Mm,
psychology so that I can combine, learning about how the media affects people who consume it.
that's amazing. Wow. You know,
Thanks.
I think I could tell that you were going to move in this direction because you mentioned, and this is a good TikTok tip, ladies. I know you're going to want to hear this. When you first post a video, you were saying that you had the hook of talking about Kim Kardashian, which is so important because, that first 3 seconds, 2 seconds, whatever it is, you need to get someone's attention with video. So I think that that's a good tip for us all to learn is, when you're making a video, if you want to go viral like Liz and I, then make sure that you have a good hook for your video so that it kind of grabs the
Exactly.
attention of the audience. It's like a story.
Lots of little tips like that. Little secret.
Mhm. So you mentioned struggling with your acne on TikTok. Is there anything that you would want to tell young girls who struggle with acne as well?
I mean, that's a good question, and I'm glad that you brought it up just because one of the reasons that I started being more open about my skin struggles on my pages is just because like I remember feeling so alone. I've kind of always had skin struggles in my life, just off and on. And I just remember feeling so alone about it and just like I was the only one in the world dealing with this, which just is so not true. And I think like a lot of people think like, oh,
Mhm.
models are perfect and they have perfect skin and, all of that. And it's not true. I mean, we're human and I get breakouts all the time. I get breakouts when I'm stressed and it's a normal
Yeah.
thing. And so I think that's the reason I like to talk about it is because I think people just don't talk about it. You're not alone. It happens to all of us. And I think if you want some tips for acne, my biggest thing, and I actually just posted a TikTok about this, but
Mhm.
I had been struggling with my skin recently. My skin had gotten to a point where it was really, really good.
Mhm.
And then I moved to New York and I moved to Manhattan actually. And I was really struggling with my skin, like all over again. Like it just started going crazy after it had been so good for so long. And I had no idea why. And I was trying out different products and talking to dermatologists and everything. And it turns out that my only issue was that I was stressed and it was just hormonal breakouts of me just being like so caught up in myself and then I'd get breakouts and then I'd get more stressed and it was just a bad cycle. So I think, if you've struggled with acne for a long time, maybe just try to look at like what is the root of the cause. So are you stressed? Like does it come when you're stressed? Maybe does it come from, I think for me, like not only just stress, but when I eat dairy, like I get
Mhm.
breakouts, stuff like that. It's like it's not always just obviously like skincare by Hiram, love him, he's amazing and he's helped me a
Mhm.
lot, but
Yeah.
it's not gonna just be the products that you use, it's gonna be a lot of other factors. So that's what I would say if you need tips on
Yeah.
your skin.
Exactly. I actually have back acne. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Mm,
So, but I had acne when I was a teenager on my face, and then back acne as an adult. So I definitely have, been to the dermatologist a few times, and definitely something that is important for like all the girls who are listening out there to understand is that as models, we're definitely not perfect. We have to work really hard to try to, take care of our skin and, work out and there are all these things, but we're human, like we're not perfect.
exactly.
When I first went to New York, I was like starting to break out in acne as well. Could be a stress thing, or it could also sometimes, environment, new environment, new weather kind of vibes too.
For sure.
But
For
it's
sure.
so important to understand that, yeah, like check in with yourself, go to the dermatologist and understand why you have this acne because it could be from something like stress, where
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, like an external factor that you maybe didn't even think of because everyone gets so caught up in like, oh, what are the products? What are you eating? That
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Like it
And
could
life
be
is
so many
just
different things.
yeah, it can be so many different things. And life is just so go, go, go. It's hard to
Hmm.
stop and check in with yourself and be like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe my acne is because I'm really stressed. Maybe I should just try to relax a little bit more, like scale back my schedule a little bit so you can take care of yourself. It's so important.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. And I also just want to like reiterate too that like as models, it's literally our job to look good all the time, to have good skin, to have good bodies. Like if it wasn't my job, I wouldn't have the time or the motivation to go to the dermatologist and to figure this stuff out, So it's like if you're struggling with whatever, if you're struggling with acne or your body or anything to do with how you look, just go easy on yourself because it's probably I mean, every time when my skin breaks out, I'm always like, I always say to my boyfriend and all my friends, I'm like, oh my God, it looks awful. And they're like, we literally didn't even notice. So it's
Yeah.
likely that it's more in your head than it is outward. Um, so yeah, just go easy on yourself.
It's a good point. It's a really good point. Another thing that I'll mention about acne is I'll throw this out there too. So when I was modeling when I was 16, I was a teenager with acne and I would feel so insecure before a photo shoot if I had like a really bad pimple because there's all this pressure on me, all these people are watching me and I'm not perfect. Like I'm showing up not perfect. And that like that's not a healthy pressure to put on yourself, of course. But something that I want to mention is that I also would get acne around my hairline and I just thought it was just regular acne. But what I found out is actually it was my shampoo.
Oh my gosh, I've heard of that.
Yes, where sometimes it depends on your skin type, which is why it's important to go to the dermatologist. Because I went to the dermatologist and he was like, the kind of shampoo you're using isn't meshing with this, like the skin on your face. Like your hair looks really great, but your skin is making you break out. So that's something to look out for too. If you're breaking out around your hairline, it could be the hair products that you're using.
Could be your shampoo. Yeah.
Okay, so now let's go to some rapid fire questions because I know the girls are very curious as to everything you do. So where do you shop?
For clothes?
Yes, for clothes.
I think so. This is actually, it's funny you ask this because I've been trying to figure out, living in New York, everyone dresses so well. And
Mhm.
everyone has like this amazing personal style. And you're just like, you look at people on the street and you're like, how do you just like look like that? Like all the time, like going to the grocery store. So I've been trying to figure out my personal style. And what I've been liking to do recently is, and I met a friend who's like a stylist and we've gotten actually really close, and so she's been like my personal stylist for the past few weeks. And I've been, so here are my tips. I think that it's important to get a few staple pieces. So like you need a good pair of black skinny jeans, you need a good long black trench coat, you need there's certain shoes that you need. Obviously if you're a model, like you're going to want different shoes than most people. But, I would say invest in some really good staple pieces, like splurge a little bit. Obviously, like if you can get some stuff on sale, get some stuff secondhand, but have some staple pieces that really fit you well, you really feel good in, and you can pair with anything, dress it up, dress it down. And then from there, you can kind of play around. So, maybe, and this is usually what I do, maybe you're just at a random thrift store and you see like a cool jacket that's not super practical and maybe it's a bit trendy, but you get it and you throw it on and maybe you fall in love with it, maybe you get rid of it the next week. Maybe you're at Zara and you see a really cool piece and you try it out because it's $10. Like, I think just like having a good base of things that you can just, tried and true, throw it on, and then kind of just go from there with fun stuff, if that makes sense.
It's so true. That is so
That,
true.
I mean, how do you usually do it?
Okay, well, I've done a few different things. I feel like during the pandemic, I've been wearing a lot of color because, it's a sad time. There's a lot of terrible things happening in the world. So I like to wear yellow sometimes.
No, that's such a good point. Yeah. I love seeing you wear colors and stuff on your social media because I'm always like, she is just so bright and happy and it makes me happy,
Thank you. I think also that's a hack too for social media is, like making sure that you have good lighting and then also wearing different colors because it catches people's eye,
So true.
Yes.
So true.
Yes. So I started wearing, colorful things because it would make me feel happy. And I get my stuff off of Amazon. I just order generic sweatshirts without even a logo. They're very cheap and you can get a few colors and then you just have, sweats because everyone's staying home. So you have lots of different colored sweats. But something that I would do in Europe, because I definitely was a girl on a tight budget modeling in Germany, France, and Milan. So what I would do is, I would get maybe one handbag that was designer that was used, like I'll just out myself. My Prada bag was $300.
Girl,
Thank you.
that's a skill.
Thank
That's
you.
a skill.
It is a skill. I put like a bunch of coupon codes on top of it. And it was this big thing because, I had never had really anything designer. I'm just a normal girl. Like, so I decided, I was like, okay, I'm going to buy this bag. And I put all the coupon codes on top of it. And so I bought one bag and it's nice because the Prada logo is on the front and I can flip it backwards if, I'm in a situation where maybe I'm not in the best neighborhood or, so you don't always want to be carrying a designer bag. I could flip it backwards to hide the logo, which is another trick.
Perfect.
Perfect. And
Perfect.
exactly. And then what I would do for my clothing is because of modeling, I used to always just wear black every day because that's what sometimes the modeling agencies will tell you because for some reason they like the color black in fashion. So
They love it.
I would just buy different cuts of the color black. I'd buy flared pants with, black flared pants and then a crop top, with a different cut, so I had all this different like white and black clothing in different cuts. So then I could literally just style it and everything in my suitcase would match because I would be sitting there and I'm
Smart.
like, Thank you. I would only be able to pack so many things. And I didn't know what countries I was going to. I knew that I would be going to Italy, but I didn't know I'd be going to, Germany right after. That would be kind of
Because
a story.
they just shoot you over. Like,
Yeah. They just put you on a plane and then you're going from country to country to country with the same
yep.
clothing.
In this tiny little suitcase.
In this tiny little suitcase. So everything that I packed in my suitcase, I knew that I could put it into 3 different outfits. So I never really,
Perfect.
thank you. Yeah. So I never really knew, I was never in a situation where I didn't have an outfit. And on top of it, here's the last thing I'll say. I am very passionate about my closet. My prom dress was actually from Forever 21. I know. And just gonna throw that out there.
I've never heard of anyone getting a prom dress from Forever 21, but I'm excited to hear the story.
Yes. So I got my prom dress from Forever 21, and I did it because this is a whole totally another story. But the school that I there at the time I was with my ex-boyfriend, and he was at a different school, and so he took me to his school's prom. And it was this whole thing where, because the girls knew I was a model, they were trying to vote me to be their prom queen, and everyone was betting on my dress. So it was crazy. And I felt all this pressure around what kind of dress I was going to wear because these girls were betting on it. And I was like, you know what? I almost don't want to spend that much money on it because whatever they're going to say, there were all these running bets about it. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get it from Forever 21. And I got this it was basically just like a black jersey gown. And it kind of looked like it was kind of Angelina Jolie dress vibes where it was one leg and then kind of high cut.
Love that.
Thank you. That dress, it packed really easily because it didn't wrinkle. So I brought it with me to Europe and I wore that dress everywhere. I wore it to modeling events, because you would need a gown and it was a compressible, like it wouldn't wrinkle gown. It was $27 from Forever 21. And, just dress it up with like a good pair of earrings and then you're ready to go to a gala.
That is so smart. I didn't even know Forever 21 sold prom dresses.
Yes, they did.
That is so smart.
It was the only long dress they had. I don't know if it was really meant to be a prom dress, but I
right. I mean, you made it work. That is so smart. So smart.
Thank you. The other question that I was wondering is, because you have a really good beauty routine. So what drugstore products do you use? Because I have pulled up your videos at some points at CVS and been like, she suggests this. So what do you use?
Oh my God, I love that. It definitely, I will say, just because like I find it really fun. Like, I've never so much been a fashion person, but I find like beauty and makeup products and all that kind of stuff really fun. And so I'm always trying out new stuff. And, full disclosure, when you're an influencer, as I'm sure you get all the time, you're always getting sent new products to try. And so it's fun. And as you get sent new products, you kind of like get new favorites into your routine, and then you keep using those. So my collection is ever evolving, but at the moment, I have been loving, this is my hack, but I always say in all of my TikToks, I use a lip stain, any lip stain. I don't have a favorite. And I literally just outline, I didn't do today, I should have. But I outline my lips and it just makes your lips look so healthy and full, and it stays on all day, and you can put chapstick over it. So that's number one, literally any lip stain that lasts a long time. And I do it to castings, even though you're not supposed to wear makeup, I do it. And then I love the Maybelline concealer, the one that you like twist up and it's got the fuzzy ball on top. That one's great. That one's my favorite. And then, yeah, just like any other products I find pretty interchangeable. Like a brow pencil is a brow pencil, you don't have to really be picky about it. Or a lash curler is a lash curler. And a mascara, like they're all pretty much the same. So it's kind of just finding what works for you and using it in the right way. What about you? What are some of your favorites?
Ooh, drugstore. Okay, well, this is gonna sound really tacky, but I do use my own concealer. I modeled for CoverGirl, and it is the perfect shade. I have it.
Of course it would be.
Wait, hang on, wait. If you don't believe me.
Oh my God, I have to see it. I have to see it. I'm so excited. I've seen this TikTok so many times. Yes.
If you haven't seen it, this is my makeup bag. I just grabbed it. It's right here. And they, don't pay me to say this, but it's really good. I'm wearing it right now. That's my favorite concealer that I use. And then other things that I do I literally have it here. Wait, let me just grab it.
Yeah, show us your whole collection.
For sunscreen, because I'm a redhead, I use these two. I use Pacifica. The Pacifica one is really good. It's called Pacifica C and the letter C, sheer face cream. And then Glow Screen, this Glow Screen from Sephora is from Supergoop. I'm wearing it right now. It's basically like a CC cream, but it's more sheer. And
I've seen that on TikTok.
Yeah. So those are my drugstore things, but the drugstore is a great place to find makeup,
100%, yeah.
I think it's good to mix stuff from Sephora along with drugstore things, because there are certain things like drugstore mascara. You've probably seen this at photo shoots where they'll use drugstore mascara instead of the things that you find at Sephora sometimes, because sometimes drugstore mascara is better than high-end mascara. And then, other things like lip gloss, the Dior lip gloss. I used to get into fights with my roommate about because it is amazing. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
I've never tried it. Do I need to go purchase it?
You might. If you need lip gloss, I would suggest it. If you want to spend, a little more money on lip gloss, it's the plumping Dior lip gloss.
Oh, I love a plumping moment.
Yeah.
I really do. I might need to go purchase it.
It's so nice. I swear it's the best. But all right. So Liz, thank you so much for being on my podcast. This was
oh my gosh, thank you. Yeah, it was so great to talk to you. I feel like we just learned so much about each other. Obviously, our whole lives are on the internet, but now we know a little more, which is so nice.
A little more. And I feel like this is so fun too, because a lot of our followers follow both of our pages, I think.
Both of us. Yeah.
It's fun. Now you can say that we're friends. Now you can, hear more about our lives on my podcast. So, all righty. Well,
thank you so much for having me. Yeah, we'll definitely talk soon. Hopefully I'll see you at some kind of casting or runway show soon.
Yes.
Bye, Sarah.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the She Is It Report podcast, It Girl. Make sure to follow us on all of our socials at She Is It Report, and check out our new website, sheisItReport.com. When you do, make sure that you put in your email so that you can get notified every time we post a new podcast of the She Is It Report. Also, remember to follow me, your podcast host, Sarah Gullickson, on all of my socials, at Sarah Gullix on TikTok and Sarah Gullickson on Instagram. Thanks for tuning into the She Is It Report podcast.